I think this one does it, guys. This one takes the cake for the most ridiculous knife featured on this channel, I think. Obviously, we got to open this up. We got to scope it out. But this one right here might get the Razzie Award on this channel for the most ridiculous knife. And I mean that also when we're talking price, design, materials, everything involved. But before we open this up, before we unbox this weird oddity in the knife world, look how much weight we're looking at here. 1 pound, 6 ounces. 1 pound, 6 freaking ounces inside this box. And I assure you there is only one knife in here. Obviously we have packing material, we've got promotional material. So this is not a lightweight knife. In fact, it is one of the heavier ones, I think, like per size that I possibly own. In fact, I'm a little curious to see how they got this thing as heavy as they did. Let's get this in here. We're coming in from NC Blade, always doing this nice person touch on their stuff. Thank you cards. They've got candies in here. We've got a cool sticker. It's Muchete time. That is awesome. This is a CKF Custom Knife Factory. I didn't get a scratcher in this one. Usually they send a scratcher. Maybe they stopped doing that. And also usually we get it. Oh, there is a joke. Here's the joke. Did you hear about the restaurant in the moon? On the moon. Great food, no atmosphere. But I'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep doing weights. This is blowing my mind how heavy this is. My gosh. Oh my gosh. Over a pound still. Insane. Oh, yes, sir. This is the Traktor number 73. There's the designer information. This one is in M390, I believe. You know, I really wish they would circle which one it is. That's one of the things that's somewhat annoying there. We've got, what is, oh, okay, let's open this up. I think if I remember right, this came with a separate backspacer. So I think it comes with more than one backspacer, and I think that's what we are looking at in here. Wearing gloves because this is going to be a fingerprint magnet, I believe, you know, I think. And so I don't want it to get all nasty on camera and look gross and goobery. I have a tendency to have sweaty hands and it just gets gross. Nobody wants to see that. Oh my God, this thing is like quadruple wrapped, but all right, maybe we'll look at this later. You don't want to see that, but this is a full-length backspacer. We'll talk about materials here in a minute. Here is your standard extra parts. You've got your ceramic ball bearings in here, your washers, probably pivot in here, all kinds of stuff. Let's get into this ridiculous monstrosity here. Now, this is one of those knives, when I first saw it, I made fun of it. In fact, I think I even made a post on my channel of like, I have no interest in getting this. And then here I am with this ridiculous freaking knife. Yep. Oh, wow, that's got a strong D. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. It looks like it was designed by, honestly, so when I first saw it, I like crazy knives. If you watch my channel at all, you know I like wild and weird knives. I just do. And so that was never my thing with this knife. It was never really how odd it looked. The main thing that bugged me with this is, I don't know, it just kind of looked like a play school knife. Like it looked like a toy knife, especially when you look at the spine here. It looked like it was kind of a plastic. I don't know how to describe it. I bet some of you kind of know what I'm getting at here. There was something about it that I just didn't really like, and I was like, hard pass. And I was pretty proud of myself that I was like, hard pass on this one. I usually go for these wild, crazy knives, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to get this one. They did a small initial drop. I didn't get in on it, even though I saw them there. They were available. I didn't get in on them. I was so proud of myself. And then they did a second drop. And I happened to have sold a couple things, so I had some knife money in my PayPal, which was supposed to go to other things, but it didn't go to other things. It went to this thing. So let's do a quick overview. I'm sorry I'm all over the place, guys. That's how unboxings go, especially with these crazy knives. M390 blade, I believe. Let's double check. I think it says right here. M390 number 73. I like that it's marked on the blade itself. That's a nice touch. Compound grind. I don't know what kind of a blade this is. I mean, if we're being honest, I don't know what this is. Kind of a, I guess, a modified Tanto, Spanto, reverse sheep foot spear point, I think is what we got. It's got a polished bead blast finish, satin flats, and then they mirror polished this wedge up at the top there. We've got jimping all over the place. This is brass, I believe. Bronze, ZircuTi. This doesn't actually, superconductor, bronze, crystal. I'm pretty sure that this is brass. You can see a two-piece backspacer here, and like I mentioned before, you can swap this out for a single-piece backspacer that's like connected with a thin like bridge right here, made out of the same material. I like that they kind of, I'm pretty sure that's bronze. I'm pretty sure that it's not just bronze titanium. I think it is. Part of the reason is this is the heaviest version. Let's do a weight since we've been getting weights, right? You're like, well, weigh the damn knife. You weighed the box. You weighed the pouch. Weigh the actual knife. 12.8 ounces. So this is the heaviest out of all of them. And that's what kind of reinforces the idea that these are brass or bronze, because that's the only thing that would make this heavier, really, is having this here. I think there's 3 different versions of this knife. This one has ZircuTi inserts, you can see, or ZircuTi inserts, you can see right there, and also on the back. I'm a sucker for ZircuTi. Absolutely amazing. They have a version that has basically the same thing, but it has superconductor instead of some of this brass and the inserts here. And then they have a version that's kind of a black and white with polished flats on the handles. So anyways, let's keep talking. I'm getting all over the place. You've got all kinds of weird design things. I mean, we could look at this thing for like ever, and wow, that actually feels very comfortable. It's huge, it's chunky, but it fits your hand very, very well. You can see it's obfuscated by all of these weird design things, but ultimately at its core, it's got finger grooves right here that, you know, which is pretty cool, right? Because that's kind of what this whole thing is they take a knife, like they take something that is a knife, and then it functions and holds and handles and works like a knife, but then they obfuscate it, yes, I said that word twice, with a bunch of different crazy design things that almost trick your eye into thinking it's not the thing that it is, if that makes any sense. Right? You look at this thing and you're almost like, I can't even make heads or tails of it. There's no way you could actually hold this thing. There's no way it could be comfortable, but it is. It actually is. Like you can hold on to this thing and it's not that comfortable. Anyways, wow, squirrel. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's get back to it. The handle here is titanium, crystallized titanium. This is the first time that I have had crystallized titanium. You can see it right here. Usually when you see crystallized titanium, it's raw, so it's more silver, and you can kind of actually see it better. So kind of an interesting choice that they crystallized it and then did a coating over the top, because you don't quite see it as well, but you can see it kind of shimmering there. Now, the cool thing about crystallized titanium, I'm not that familiar with the process, but from what I understand, it's not just a surface treatment. It goes all the way through. So even if you were to grind this down, cut it in half, you'd see this crystal structure all the way through that titanium. It's like a crazy process you do to create crystallized titanium. Very expensive and time consuming. Elishewitz, custom maker Elishewitz, he does quite a bit of crystallized titanium. In fact, he's the first person to kind of tell me about it in some of his videos. So that's a very cool touch. We've got the brass or the bronze all the way around, I think it is bronze, all the way around the pivot there, pivot collars, ZircuTi inserts, all kinds of stuff going on. I don't know how I feel about this black screw going right through this bronze thing, although I guess it's kind of echoed throughout, so pretty cool. Backspacer here, two-piece backspacer. There is a pocket clip. It honestly takes you a minute to even realize there's a pocket clip. I'm not sure how well it'll function. A lot of tension. Doesn't look like there's a ton of room to get your material through there, but maybe. A little bit more on this side. So, that'll be interesting. I'll have to try that. Not that this is like a carry. I mean, yeah, you can carry anything, but you know, this isn't really a made for carry knife. Let's take a look at this blade again. That mirror polish swedge is just something. Look how thick that blade stock is. Oh, kind of interesting. The thumb stud is really only usable on this side. So you can't really, I mean, you can reverse flick it. Just everything is so big that somewhere in here, I'm able to get my finger in there. I think, yeah, just like right in here, I'm able to kind of catch that edge and reverse flick it. Kind of interesting though. I would have thought they just would have mirrored this on the other side, but okay. Running on bearings, of course. Is it centered? It is centered. Let's see if it has any weird play. Nope, rock solid. Everything is nice and solid. Uses just a big, massive stop pin right there. Ooh, look at all that grease. Greasy, greasy, greasy. I'm gonna have to clean that up. Giant stop pin right there. Oh, that's kind of a cool touch. See how it's like chamfered? The pin is chamfered as it goes all the way through. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. CKF logo right there. Every time I look at this, there's something else in here. This is bonkers. So this is kind of CKF. They started with their Decepticon knife. I don't know if you remember it, but the Decepticon knife was kind of their show-off knife of look at all the crazy manufacturing we can do. And I've talked about this in the past with a few different makers, how some of these manufacture-heavy companies, right? Companies that kind of, their thing is manufacturing and precision in manufacturing. That's kind of their thing. Oftentimes they will have like a flagship model that's almost like a portfolio of all the crazy stuff they can do. And this series, this Decepticon Traktor type series, in my mind is exactly what that is. It's kind of a everything and the kitchen sink thrown on a knife. All of the crazy, most intricate, bizarre / interesting manufacturing and design stuff they can possibly cram into a single knife. They do this as almost a statement piece to say, this is what we're capable of from a manufacturing standpoint. This is an expensive knife. It retails for just under, I mean, depending on the configuration you get, it's around $1,000, which I know kind of seems crazy. But when you think of the materials and the amount of finishing, it's actually, I feel like this is a knife where they're not making a lot of money. Like I said, they're probably just about breaking even on this knife. And I think it is more of a shock to the market, shock to the system kind of thing that they throw out there when things start feeling a little boring, when maybe interest in knives is getting a little dull. They fire up this series of knives and release something crazy like this. Because you got to remember, like all these details, they may not seem like that much, but each time you add a new step, even going from just 2 finishes to 3, is usually from a cost and time perspective more than the sum of its parts. Like it's not just saying like if it took an hour to do this and it took an hour to do this, you would think like, okay, cool, mirror polishing this is just another hour. Oftentimes it's more than that, because in order to do like this mirror polished edge here, there's additional steps you have to do on the other part so they don't get scratched. And every time you mess with something, you run the risk of having to start over, right? You run the risk of scratching something, scuffing something, messing something up, right? It's kind of like the more you tinker with something, the more the likelihood of issues start to extrapolate. And so when you get to very complicated, intricate designs like this, where everything has to fit in, it's got multiple finishes on everything, it's got all of this machining, it escalates quickly in terms of cost. And by cost, I mean machine time and business time. Because you got to remember, every hour they spend working on something crazy like this is an hour they can't work on another model that maybe has more appeal. So this was a pretty limited release, obviously. You know, something like this is not very mass consumable. Not a ton of people are wanting something like this. But for those that do, like me, apparently, They're willing to go to the moon to get it and all that kind of stuff. I love it. This is an awesome piece to have in the collection. Like I said, it actually feels way more comfortable and capable than I expected. You know, I mean, within reason, right? It's clearly ridiculous and over the top, but it is a cool piece, and it has like all my favorite materials. I love that crystallized titanium, ZircuTi accents. Oh, look, it's got, I mean, even this, look at this. See how it has this texture milled into the titanium frame, and then it perfectly mates up to the ZircuTi insert right there. I mean, these all have to be precision machined so that it perfectly steps down. I mean, you see how it it looks almost like they put this in and then did this machine work. But they obviously could not, because they have different surface treatments. Like this ZircuTi would have to be anodized after all the machining's done in order to get this pattern in here at all. So just very cool. These little details, like this is what I'm talking about. I feel like this detail right here was very on purpose so that the people that knew would notice this and say, oh, okay, all right. You guys you're playing with the real machines here. You know what you're doing. You know how to make this thing work. To the untrained eye or the casual eye, this probably just looks like a monstrosity of a bunch of different angles and shapes and materials all jammed together. But when you really look at it closer, you start to see all the details, all the things involved. See how it has chamfering right into this backspacer, and so they actually steps up into that, little design details like that. This is all thought through. And then it looks like this is actually inset a little bit. You can see how it steps down right there. It's inset a little bit, so it's not just sandwiched in between these. They're actually mated together. They're machined together. Very cool. And the fact you can flip this giant blade with that little tiny flipper is really impressive. Look how high that is. Like, the top of the flipper is above the axis point of the pivot there, so you get lots of leverage. Very heavy blade, very heavy blade. Anyways, I could probably talk for another 30 minutes about this knife, just stuff I'm seeing. This is the first time I've handled this. These were available at Bladeshow. I don't know if they're available to sell, but they were definitely available for people to check out. Wow. I have never had an unboxing video go 17 minutes before. That's what I love about this kind of stuff, right? Like, I know I'm going to get so much hate for this knife of people saying it's so ridiculous, so impractical. But at the same time, if I did a knife unboxing of a practical knife, it would have been over 17 minutes ago. No, not 17 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. Anyways, all right, I'm going off the rails here. I'm going to spend some time with this beauty. You guys take it easy. Let me know down below what you think of this crazy beast. I will catch you later.